Hi, gang. It's Patrick.
And Adam.
Coming up on today's episode, we discuss the new trailers for the live-action remake of Aladdin and Avengers Endgame. We chat about the latest Disney news, and we interview the father of contemporary a cappella music and creator of Disney's Deke, Deke Sharon. As always, we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, Patrick.
How's it going?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I am also fantastic. We're the Fantastic Two. It's not Disney, I know, but who cares?
Hey, you know what? It's about to be Disney because that is part of the Fox deal.
Oh, you're right.
The Fantastic Four, we're getting it.
You're so smart.
I like how I say we're getting it, like I'm part of Disney. We're getting it.
We are. We're all part of it. It's the royal we.
We got Annie.
That's a reference to the Annie movie from long
right.
ago, if you're old enough to have... Oh, dear.
We're
old.
Who said that in the movie? What was her name?
The Fosse dancer.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. Our friend Amanda is screaming at us right now.
Anne Ranking.
And we've truly outgayed ourselves just now.
We almost lost our cards there for a second. We couldn't remember.
It's true.
Anne Ranking, and she was all like, well, nowadays she's like, we got Annie.
Yeah.
It's real rough.
Yeah, she's a little Lucille Ball and end of days. But we love her. We have an exciting episode today, Adam.
We sure do.
We've been planning this for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We had to keep it under wraps for a while.
We did.
But we finally locked down our interview with Deke Sharon.
How about that?
So excited.
Me too.
Good.
Yeah, it's interesting how he's been hounding us to get on the podcast.
Calm it down, Mr. Sharon.
I know, and it's like after we auditioned, he just would not let it go. Kind of stalkerish, but I'm like, okay, Deke, we'll have you on the podcast.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
No, he was so gracious to accept our invitation and couldn't be nicer.
Yes, he was like the nicest guy, the most sincere, affable gentleman.
Affable is exactly the right word. He is in the dictionary next to the word affable.
Yeah.
Some other exciting news happened this past week. A couple trailers or additional trailers dropped.
They sure did. We started off the week seeing much, much more of the live-action Aladdin.
We sure did. Did you have any initial thoughts after you saw it?
I sure did. It was more like, huh.
Oh.
It went from, to, huh.
Okay, so it's moving up in the world for you.
Yeah, up in nonverbal reactions.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, climbing that scale.
Your eyebrows maybe raised a little bit higher?
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, looks beautiful.
It does.
I think we said that before, but it really truly looks beautiful. All those jewel tones.
Yes.
I'm into it.
Yeah, I get more and more excited the more that's released. I think they're doing it in a smart way where they teased it just ever so much in the beginning, and now they're letting you see the full effect of what you're about to watch, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's still two factors that are not sitting well with me.
Oh, what's that?
One is Jafar.
Okay.
Still am having trouble with the voice.
Interesting.
Maybe once I get into the full movie,
Yeah.
I'll like absorb it and process it
Yeah.
and then realize that this is a new take on Jafar and
Yeah.
I'll be into it.
I have a take on that, actually, in that I don't need my villains to sound like villains. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
I'm actually a little bit more unsettled when they are more approachable and then they turn into villains. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think we've only seen the very beginning of Jafar. We haven't seen him later on in the movie yet.
Sure.
So who knows what's to come?
I mean, who knows what he'll sound like when he's Snake Jafar? Giant Snake Jafar.
Yes. Giant snake indeed.
Issue 2.
Uh-oh.
Will Smith. I'm still not on board with Will Smith.
Oh, I'm more and more on board the more I see. I had actually a laugh out loud moment during that trailer.
Get right out of here. What
I will not.
What trailer? Was there another trailer that was released?
No, there was
Was it the Prince thing?
when he asked about the prince,
Yeah.
turning into a prince, and then it was just a very Will Smith moment, and I think that's what we're about to see is Will Smith as the genie.
I think
Does that make sense? Of course he is the genie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's going to be Will Smith.
I think he's just so chill.
Yeah.
that I'm struggling getting excited about anything he's going. Like, it's just so relaxed from what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
But again, it's only been like, what, a 2-minute trailer?
Yeah.
Less than 2 minutes.
I think we all need to detach ourselves from the Robin Williams performance because we're not going to get that.
I'm not even that attached to the Robin Williams performance.
Okay.
It's like, Aladdin's not one of my faves. A bunch of people just turned off the podcast.
I'm visually slapping you so hard right now.
It's not one of my favorites. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But
I say that about you a lot.
and here's another one that's just going to make people really upset.
Okay, I'm gripping the table, ready to flip it.
I'm not a huge Robin Williams fan.
Oh, get out of here.
I find his performances exhausting to watch. Like, I want him to calm down.
Okay, so you want him to calm down, but you want Will Smith to calm up.
Yes. Where's the middle ground?
Got it.
Where's my middle ground genie?
Well, we've got a lot more to see, so who knows?
Yes.
Maybe you'll get there.
We did have some listener comments on Instagram.
I'm sure we did.
Our friend Dane, who you can find on Instagram as Daneland, commented, OMG, I got goosebumps.
Ooh, I'm with you, Dane. I'm with you.
Yes. And our friend Kale, who you can find on Instagram at KaleEnglish89, said, am I ecstatic? No. Will that keep me from pushing children out of the way to be the first in line on opening day? Also, no.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Kale.
So I think this trailer has made people more excited for it.
I think you're right.
I think Will Smith looked better in this trailer than he did in the initial tease that we saw.
Absolutely.
And I think overall, as I said earlier, visually, I don't think this movie can be beat. It just looks gorgeous.
I think you're right.
Opulent. Opulent.
Opulence. Speaking of the visuals, that actually, while I'm very excited about them, they confused me even more about where Aladdin takes place because it's in Agrabah, which is a fictional location, and there's two mines that it's in the Middle East, in like, Arabian Nights.
Yeah.
And then also the Sultan's castle is very reminiscent of the Taj Mahal,
Yeah.
and a lot of the dancing that you see in this movie now looks like Bollywood dancing, which is also Indian.
Yeah.
But those are, to be clear, very different locations.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, is this just fully a made up land? Like not even in the world that we know it? Or are they going to lean more Indian culture, or are they going to mix both? I'm interested to see what they do with that.
I guess it depends on what the parks people want to do with it, right?
I suppose.
Where are the attractions and or experiences that they tie to this movie going to end up?
Right, which they currently have Aladdin and Jasmine in Morocco, which is also not in either of those locations. So I think we need some cleanup on understanding that these are very different cultures, and it could be a little offensive to either culture if you think that they're all the same.
I actually read online that it's in Michigan.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Got it.
It's Agrabah, Michigan.
Agrabah, Michigan.
Yeah.
Ooh, Michigan. You're finally coming around.
Could be a swing state.
I like It's Central Michigan.
Yes.
Then. Okay, got it.
Also this week, we were treated to a new trailer for Avengers Endgame.
Treated indeed.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm more excited than I've been for an Avengers movie.
And isn't it interesting? I think they really played to our emotions on this one because it was chock full of flashbacks to other Avengers films.
Yeah, that was smart. It actually made me want to rewatch all those movies now.
Yeah. And kind of a retrospective of Black Widow's hair colors throughout the years.
Yep, good point.
But it did really kind of tug at the old heartstrings because it did make you realize how much they've already been through.
Oh, man.
In a decade.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to really feed into where they're going now in this new film.
Yeah, it seems a lot more emotional than any of the other films have been. But clearly, they can only go so far with that they got to put some action in there.
Right.
And we haven't seen any of it yet.
Right.
So that makes me think that they've got some big tricks up their sleeve.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of the quote-unquote new footage that we saw in the trailer was footage that we've already seen in the teaser, and they just kind of spliced that together with the flashbacks.
The whole time I was watching it, I was like, why have we not seen Captain Marvel at all yet?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden at the end of it, I was like, okay, phew.
And she was looking good.
She was looking great. I was like, oh, she got a little upgrade.
Yeah.
The years have been kind to her.
Yeah. We also had some listener feedback on this trailer.
Okay.
Noom1070 on Instagram.
Noom,
N-E-W-M 1070 said, legit just got chills.
Yeah.
Joey Mouse Magic commented, can't wait.
Yeah, these are all on the marquee, I think.
Sovine Party of 5
That's a great name.
said, I cannot wait for this. Do you guys really think it will be the last with Captain America?
Oh, my.
I responded to that, but what are you going to say, Patrick?
I'm going to say I will cry.
Yeah.
I will be angry.
Yeah.
I will slap the nearest person.
You're really into slapping lately.
I'm really into Captain America.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there it is. What do you think?
I do think it's going to be his last film.
Stop it.
It's going to be interesting to see how they close his chapter of the story.
I think he just finds a boyfriend.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, and he's like, you know what? I'm a homebody dad now. I'm gonna get that dad bod.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
And Tim3LESZ_Disney, I still don't know if that means something. Like, should I be saying Tim3Les Disney?
Tim, tell us.
Sorry about it. Tim says, can't wait. I'm trying to play catch up on the Marvel movies, so I'm really excited for this.
Yeah. Same here. Dan, my husband, is currently upstairs watching all of the Iron Man movies in order right now. So you're not alone.
And needless to say, it's going to be a very exciting spring for Disney films, Disney and Marvel films.
This whole year, is chock-a-block full of exciting releases.
I keep going back to the schedule to make sure that we're keeping up with what's going on.
I know.
And it's like every month there's a new release that we're going to have to see and review.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I need to release.
Whoa. Oh, man.
My patience.
Yes.
Because I cannot wait.
I'm not sure that made sense, but
I need to release my patience.
Nice cover.
Okay.
Question mark.
Let's move on quickly.
Let's do that.
We've got some anniversaries this week, some Disney movie anniversaries.
Tell me all about them.
Well, there's quite a few of them, actually. So here we go. Buckle up, folks. Beauty and the Beast, the live action version, is 2 years old now.
Just 2 years old?
2 years old, released on March 17th, 2017.
We saw that together.
We did.
Yeah.
I like that movie. Didn't love it. Did like it, though.
We're samesies.
Yeah. Cool. A bigger anniversary is The Shaggy Dog turns 60 years old.
See, there we go again with a live action that I have not seen. Have you seen The Shaggy Dog?
I love The Shaggy Dog. Another Fred McMurray movie.
Yeah.
And Tommy Kirk, who was in The Swiss Family Robinson.
That's
and
right.
He was a huge Disney kid.
Yeah.
Great movie, released March 19th, 1959. Moving on, Escape to Witch Mountain is 34 years old, released in 1975.
I also have not seen that. What is wrong with me?
What have you seen?
I know, just the animated ones, apparently, in Swiss Family Robinson.
Oh, well, there you go. Disney Plus needs to come your way.
It does.
Very soon.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, Piglet's Big Movie turns 16 years old. That's crazy to me.
That seems like it could have been last year for me.
I know, doesn't it seem like that?
Yeah.
It was released on March 21st, 2003.
Did you see that movie?
I did not see Piglet's Big Movie.
Either did I.
I saw the Tigger movie,
Yeah.
which I loved.
Yeah.
So I need to see the Piglet one probably.
I guess I didn't realize there were so many spin-off movies from Winnie the Pooh.
Quite a few. Eeyore needs one.
Oh God, I don't know. That could be a real slog.
No.
Yeah, take your antidepressants before you see that one. Is it in 3D? I hope so.
Yeah, that tail just pops right out at you. So happy anniversary to all of those lovely Disney movies.
And last but not least, Patrick, we have an exciting announcement.
We sure do. And we should say this is sort of on the request of some of our really lovely listeners who put this in our ear and we sort of ran with it, right?
That's right. A few of our listeners reached out to us via email at info@gaysdothed.com, and they were asking how they might be able to help support us without necessarily buying a t-shirt or buying a coffee mug or anything like that.
Exactly. So what we did was we set up a Patreon page, which is live and active right now. If you don't know, a Patreon page is basically a membership program where for a monthly reoccurring donation of, we should say, any amount, you'll have access to a few perks beyond what everyone else has access to on the podcast or social media, right?
That's right. And we can't oversell this enough, Patrick. Like, exclusive access
right.
to me and Patrick.
I mean,
eating snacks.
Is that what we're going to do?
Yep, eating snacks.
Just sipping on some tea.
Having some tea.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be a nap cam where it's just like, watch Adam nap.
And we lost all of our listeners just now.
They're like, how can we get money away
Right.
from you?
No, of course, some of these perks we're going to be coming up with as we go, but we'll do maybe an exclusive Q&A with just Adam and I, maybe on some things that are not Disney related going on in our lives. Perhaps some exclusive photos or videos. Who can say? One thing we are for sure offering right now is there are a couple of tiers that you can donate into, and I think it's at the $25 or up tier, you will get some exclusive Gaze to the D merch. So that's a little perk that we just wanted to throw your way as a thank you. And I should say, we want to very vehemently express that we in no way expect anyone to want to donate to us, or even if you are able to donate to us, we do not expect it. We are never going to charge anyone for listening to our podcast or being a part of our social media. This is just something that if you're able to, great. Thank you so much. That is really generous of you, and know that all of the dollars will go directly into supporting this podcast and our social media efforts.
That's right. It goes into equipment. It goes into website maintenance. It goes into things like that, which actually just are podcast related.
Exactly. And this is something that is a little hard for Adam and I to do, because it feels a little weird, if you know what I mean.
I mean, we're like meek Midwesterners.
Yes.
So talking about money issues is like, get out of here.
Yeah, don't you dare. But please do. No. So if you do happen to check that Patreon page out, it is on our website live right now, which is www.gazedothed.com. And thank you so much in advance if you do decide that you are able to and want to donate to us.
Now that ickiness is out of the way, Patrick.
Ugh, money, how gauche.
Oof. Let's have a little chat about some news.
Yes, please.
Welcome to the Marvel Minute.
Uh-oh.
It's a segment within a segment.
Let's work on that.
Yeah, okay. I've got two stories for you. Marvel Studios has found a director for Shang-Chi, its first superhero film with an Asian protagonist.
Exciting.
Destin Daniel Cretton will helm the movie. He previously directed Short Term 12, starring Brie Larson.
Ooh.
And is currently directing Just Mercy, a film he wrote, also starring Brie Larson and Michael B. Jordan.
Ooh, I love both of those names.
They're keeping it in the Marvel family.
Sure are.
Dave Callahan will write the screenplay. As Deadline reports in a March 13th article, Callahan has strong credentials in the superhero and franchise-building realms, and his own experiences as a Chinese American will inform the Shang-Chi movie mythology. His recent work includes co-writing with Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns the upcoming DC Warner Brothers sequel, Wonder Woman 1984, and he is writing Sony's animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2.
Wow.
Callahan also created the Expendables franchise, as well as the story for Legendary's Godzilla reboot. So the writer has all of the credentials you could ever possibly need to write a superhero film.
That's an eclectic mix.
Deadline goes on to note, Shang-Chi first appeared in Special Marvel Edition number 15 in December 1973. The script will modernize the hero to avoid stereotypes that many comic characters of that era were saddled with. The comic launched around the time that Enter the Dragon became a global sensation. So this sounds like a really exciting franchise for Marvel.
Absolutely. I've never heard of it, so I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah, I hadn't either. And if it's anything like Black Panther and the acclaim that received, it should be incredible.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, now we're going to wade into some uncomfy waters again.
Oh, dear.
According to a March 15th Deadline article, James Gunn has been reinstated by Disney as director of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Gunn, who directed the franchise's first two films, was fired last July after a series of decade-old social media posts he had made joking about pedophilia and rape resurfaced.
Oh, dear.
Deadline states, after the firing, Walt Disney Studios chairman Alan Horn met with Gunn on multiple occasions to discuss the situation. Persuaded by Gunn's public apology and his handling of the situation after, Horn decided to reverse course and reinstate Gunn. Deadline goes on to say the social media messages were indefensible, but the filmmaker never did anything but blame himself for poor judgment displayed at the time. There were no reports that Gunn ever engaged in the behavior he lampooned. Gunn fell on his sword early and often and never lashed out at Disney. Ultimately, Gunn's missives were poorly chosen words and not actions, though Disney's quick trigger was completely understandable when the social media messages were first reported by outlets like Fox News. Those outlets reported that Gunn's missives were exposed as paycheck for Gunn's being a vocal critic of President Donald Trump.
Yowza.
So after his firing Patrick, Gunn signed on to write and direct the Suicide Squad sequel for Warner Brothers and DC. So Gunn's now going to make that, and then he'll move on to Guardians after Suicide Squad 2 wraps.
Can't wait for that movie.
Did you see Suicide Squad?
I did. It's a movie.
Well, listen, we know that Gunn is very, very talented.
Yes.
Despite the awful things he posted on social media, he is an incredibly talented director with a knack for kind of quirky storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like Suicide Squad 2 would benefit from that.
Sure.
After the story broke on Deadline, Gunn posted the following to his Twitter account. I am tremendously grateful to every person out there who has supported me over the past few months. I am always learning and will continue to work at being the best human being I can be. I deeply appreciate Disney's decision, and I am excited to continue making films that investigate the ties of love that bind us all. I have been and continue to be incredibly humbled by your love and support. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Love to you all.
Okay.
So, how are you feeling about this?
I'm torn. I'm very torn about it.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the acknowledgement of evolution. I appreciate the sincere, seemingly at least sincere apologies.
Right.
We're in a tough time right now where our past does catch up with us, and some of the things that people say are horrendous.
Yes.
Or have said in the past, I guess, are horrendous, and it's hard to look past, I have to admit.
Right.
And it wasn't just one, it wasn't just two, it was like 12 or 13 different tweets, and they were all pretty awful. That being said, is forgiveness in the air? I mean, I think that we all need to practice forgiveness. Mm-hmm. It's just tough when you're in a position of making millions and millions of dollars after an apology.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, how sincere is that apology? Is it a paycheck-driven apology, or is it a sincere apology? And I hope that it's sincere, and I hope that he has evolved. Like I said, it's just tough. It's a tough sell for me.
Right.
What about you?
No comment.
Okay. You want me to take us down, take the ship down with just me in it?
No, this is not in his defense. Let me just say this. When he sent out those tweets, those awful, awful tweets.
Yes.
He was trying to be provocative, right?
Sure.
He was not the kind of famous director he is now. He was kind of working for a B-movie studio and was trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah.
And was trying to get recognized, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So, still, gross, disgusting, inappropriate behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Do I believe in second chances? I absolutely do.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think he's done phenomenal things for Guardians of the Galaxy? Absolutely. Like, could you have imagined if someone had said, oh yeah, there's going to be a superhero movie coming out, it has a talking raccoon in it, and it's set in space? Who can handle that and handle it so successfully and to such a broad audience and become such a huge box office hit?
Yes. I think it's going to boil down to, in this time that we're in, what are we okay with? What can we forgive?
Right.
Where is that line between this has gone too far and this is like, okay, you made a mistake and you're apologizing for it at least?
A couple of comments from our listeners on social media. Our friend Mess Panay at Diamond in the Rough Clothing Company stated, it's a course correction, and James has apologized for his tweets when he was younger and problematic. There's nothing wrong with an auteur learning from their mistakes. James has done an impeccable job taking an obscure comic and turning it into a commercial success. Also, it helps that the cast has supported him and his vision, as no one else could do what he has done with the Guardians franchise.
That's very well said.
Iron_Daredevil says, this is an interesting choice, and I don't know if I have an opinion on it. Surprising, I know. I mean, his tweets are obviously super inappropriate, but no one has testified against him. Wonder Rob says, man, I should have bet money he'd be back. This is great news. K. Shea Disney says, on one hand, I think it's messed up to go back and find old things people said to use it against them. On the other hand, the stuff he said was beyond sick, and I think he is disgusting.
So we've got some lukewarm reception so far.
And last but not least, it's Noah, says he had already apologized for those tweets multiple times before this recent scandal, so I give him a pass.
Fair enough.
Anyway, it will be interesting to see how the film is received once it finally comes out.
And I suppose there's something to be said for Disney backing him up. I feel like I do trust Disney, that they have fully investigated and are understanding what they're taking on. And so I think they know what they're doing, right? We should just let them handle it the way they want to handle it. And we as an audience get to decide if we want to support it or not with our ticket sales, right?
Absolutely, and very well said.
Thank you. Also, it makes me want to go back and look at all my old tweets and go, ooh, what should I clean up here? That's not a call out to everyone else to do that for me. Oh, dear. Adam, I've got some shocking news for you.
I'm ready to be shocked.
just a week after Disney announced the early openings of Galaxy's Edge in both Disneyland and specifically Disney World has increased their prices. What? Nope, not shocking at all.
We called it.
Yeah, we sure did. We sure did. And the rest of the world did as well. We knew it was coming. But here's the good news. It's not as terrible as it usually is.
Okay.
So the prices have not increased across the board. Only select tickets have increased their price.
Tell me more about it.
I shall. And I'm going to try to report on this as accurately as I can because it is a little bit confusing, I must admit. So sort of in a nutshell, before I get into details, unless you only travel to Disney World during high peak and holiday times, you may not see much of a difference in price.
Okay.
The lowest one-day ticket price remains the same at $109 for a one-day normal season ticket. Does that make sense?
Yep.
However, the highest one-day ticket, think about Christmas time and New Year's Eve,
Sure.
has maxed out at $159 for that day.
Okay.
Previously, it was $129. Tickets around Easter, Memorial Day, and the weeks leading up to Christmas will be around $139. So that is a bit of an increase as well for a single-day ticket. Now, remember, the price per day does still decrease the more days you have included on that ticket.
Right.
You
Okay.
with me so far?
Yep.
Okay. The Park Hopper upgrades to one-day and multi-day tickets have increased by $5 across the board.
Okay.
So the upgrade fee would be between $60 and $80 depending on the length of your ticket.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah.
that has increased. From what I understand, the Park Hopper Plus plan, which includes all of the water parks, has not increased at all. However, the water park's annual pass has gone up in price from $130 to $139. And as of right now, all the other annual passes have remained the same price.
Okay, so this is basically completely expected, right? Like, we knew that Disney was moving to a dates-based ticket pricing system.
Yep.
And those dates where a ton of people are going to be in the parks are going to be more expensive.
That's absolutely right. And I think by keeping the lower attended days at that same price, they are going to try to even out the attendance across the calendar. So they're hoping to get more people coming during those non-peak times because they're going to pay less to do it.
Prediction: Christmas will still be a mess.
As per usual. As per usual. So lastly, preferred parking has also increased. Prices are now tiered at $45 on regular days and $50 during the peak days. And then the regular priced parking has not changed at all. And so the preferred parking is like you get a very close spot to the gates.
Sure.
So that has increased as well. So it's not too bad. As I said earlier, you're only going to see that difference if you're going to go during those peak times.
I'm not.
I do still need to get out there for Mickey's Very Merry.
Yeah. But I mean, it starts in September, so
Yeah.
I'm joking.
No, it's true. But this actually, for me, is a bigger push to get that annual pass. And I suggest if you're thinking about doing it, do it now.
Yeah.
Because you're going to benefit if you want to go during those peak times because you're going to pay that lower price.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that they didn't raise the annual pass, but I'm sure glad they didn't.
I know. Disney, if you're listening, if you do increase it, please hold off until after April 4th.
So selfish.
Well, listen, you got to be selfish once in a while.
Last Tuesday morning, Disney announced the formal closing process in its $71.3 billion acquisition of 21st Century Fox, with the closing date set for March 20th, 2019. As a reminder, Disney will be picking up 20th Century Fox, 21st Century Fox's film studio, and therefore the X-Men and the Fantastic Four franchises, which will undoubtedly delight Marvel fans. Disney will also now have a controlling stake in Hulu and own channels like FX and Nat Geo, among other assets.
So Disney owns 3/4 of the planet now.
That's right.
Okay, got it.
According to a March 12th Variety article, the closing date puts a clear timeline on what is expected to be an industry-changing consolidation of media and entertainment assets under Disney's umbrella. The integration of the companies is projected to lead to as many as 4,000 layoffs as overlapping operations are eliminated and resources are reallocated to support Disney's top priority of launching the Disney Plus global streaming platform later this year.
Okay, so that's a bit of a bummer.
It is. There's going to be a lot of people that are probably going to lose their jobs just because of that crossover.
For sure.
But it sounds like they're putting all of their energy into getting Disney Plus launched.
Yeah, I imagine once they figure out exactly what they're doing, a lot of job openings will reveal themselves.
Are you planning on applying? Is that what you're telling me? You're leaving the podcast to go work for Disney?
You bet. You didn't know this, but I am heavy in the tech industry.
I can tell that about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
.com, all those phrases like
Yeah.
sound mix
Okay.
and plug sockets.
Yeah.
Can you tell?
I can honestly say I have no idea what you're talking about right now, and therefore you clearly are in the know.
Yay, success. A new stop on the Adventures by Disney Backstage Magic Tour will be added this June. The new stop will include a behind-the-scenes tour of Animal Kingdom's nighttime spectacular, Rivers of Light. Guests will visit a hidden marina where the Animal and Lotus barges are prepped for that night's performance. Guests will also enjoy a lunch at Tiffin's in the Animal Kingdom, where you'll enjoy a special menu just for the tour and hear stories about the creation of the park. This will replace the previous lunch stop on the tour at Wilderness Lodge.
Is this something you'd like to experience, Patrick?
The full tour sounds really incredible. I have to admit, I haven't seen Rivers of Light, so I don't know how excited I am about learning about it, but I'm sure it's really cool. And the whole tour actually sounds really amazing. You do quite a few stops, and they're pretty amazing. Some of the other stops on the tour that aren't changing are a backstage look at the American Adventure in Epcot, and a tour of the Utilidor tunnels under the Magic Kingdom, where you'll visit a costume shop, a prop and set shop, and one of the world's largest laundry facilities.
See, I keep going back and forth. Like, I want to see it, but I also don't want the magic ruined. And I know people have gone on these tours and claimed that it doesn't ruin the magic for them.
Sure.
But for me, I think it might.
I am somebody who's always looking to see how things work.
Yeah.
And so I do want to see all of that, just to see how maybe simply they're able to do some of that magic where it just astounds you by an easy tweak here or there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I get it. I fully understand what you're saying, and I also am interested in seeing the inner workings of things. Mm-hmm. But Disney is the one place where I can kind of have my blinders up and not really think about the real world, and I feel like I might be confronted with real world things by seeing like the Utilidors and the costume shop, etc.
Gotcha. I was once evacuated from It's a Small World.
Yes.
And that backstage look was so cool that I wanted more of it.
Yeah.
And so I think this is the tour for me. Maybe not so much for you.
I'll tell you what, pay for it, go on it, report back.
Fair enough. Speaking of, it is $275 per guest for the full tour, which does include transportation between all of the park stops, and they do give you water and, of course, lunch along the way. And if you want to make reservations, you can call 407-WDW-TOUR, 407-939-8687.
Last December, we told you about the introduction of guest experience teams in Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom.
True story.
The teams were established to assist guests with booking, modifying, and recovering FastPass Plus selections, navigating the My Disney Experience app, and deactivating and reactivating Magic Bands, among other customer service-oriented offerings. Originally, the guest experience teams were only going to be available through last January, but they proved so popular with guests that the service period was extended through this spring. Now Disney is not only making the Magic Kingdom guest experience teams a permanent fixture in the park, it is also expanding the service into Epcot, Disney's Hollywood Studios, and Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Amazing.
Guest experience team members are stationed at certain areas within the Magic Kingdom park, but can also be found wandering the park, providing assistance when necessary. They are distinguishable from other cast members by their blue shirts with the Guest Experience Team logo on them. No word yet on the date when the Guest Experience teams will be coming to Walt Disney World's 3 other parks.
So it must have been a pretty big success for them to expand it this widely.
We saw some of the teams when we were there in January, and they seemed very friendly and very willing to offer help.
Mm-hmm.
We breezed right by one on our way to Splash Mountain.
I did ask one where a water fountain was, and they were very helpful.
You know, Patrick, with your tech savvy, you may want to apply as a guest experience team member.
You bet. Escape.
Yep.
.com.
Keep going.
I know all these terms.
Yeah.
Modem.
Oh, modem.
Is that still a thing?
I think you still need a modem.
Yeah. Router.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at this. I have my own little tech bubble happening right now.
What?
You know what I mean.
No, gross.
Wi-Fi. Born on January 14th this year, Animal Kingdom's newest male Maasai giraffe calf has officially joined the herd in Kilimanjaro Safari. He was also recently given a name by the Animal Kingdom staff, Jabari, which means brave one in Swahili.
So I suggested Adam, and they clearly completely disregarded my suggestion.
Yeah, I did too.
How cute would it be to see a little baby giraffe named Adam wandering the savannah?
Like, out of 10? A hard 1.
Rude.
Jabari has spent the last few months behind the scenes bonding with his mom, Mara, where he has grown to 7 feet tall.
Fun fact, I was also 7 feet tall at 2 months old.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Are you Benjamin Buttoning? Because you're no longer 7 feet tall.
Does it look like I'm continuing to get younger, Patrick? Because...
It does not.
Yes. It does not.
It does not. So usually the naming of a baby animal is left for the animal care team to do, but if you'll remember, Jabari was born in plain view on the safari, and many of the safari drivers played a big role in keeping guests calm and quickly handling the situation, so they were given the honor. And not you, Adam. You were not given the honor, apparently.
I still think this is a huge mistake on Disney's part, but okay.
Maasai giraffe are considered a vulnerable species with close to 32,000 left in the world. Jabari was born through the efforts of the Species Survival Plan, overseen by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which ensures responsible breeding of threatened and endangered species. Jabari joins a growing family with his 2 older sisters, Amira and Ayala, both born last year. Welcome to the world, Jabari, and congratulations to his mom and dad, Mara and George.
I think if anything, this just solidifies my case for a giraffe named Adam. I mean, if his dad's name is George, why can't his name be Adam?
Stop trying to make Adam happen. It's never going to happen. Adam,
Patrick,
I am super excited to get us into this interview that we've scored with one Deke Sharon.
How about this? This is very exciting.
Super exciting. So for those of you who don't know Deke Sharon, he is widely known as the father of contemporary a cappella music. He's also arguably, I would say, responsible for what a cappella music is today.
Yeah, he's been all over the place.
You pretty much can't hear any arrangements of a cappella music without him having had some part in it. Even if you think about Pentatonics, they were on the original season of The Sing-Off, which he was a producer of. Also, a lot of people remember his work from all 3 Pitch Perfect movies. He was the vocal arranger and the music producer, again, for all 3 of the movies. He has some really fun stories to tell in our interview with him. He's won numerous awards, arranged over 2,000 a cappella pieces, written 5 books, and of course, he's got a pretty deep Disney connection.
He sure does. Not only has he produced some of the a cappella groups that performed in the parks, he also is the creator and director and producer and vocal arranger for Deke, which Patrick and I were fortunate enough to see when they came to Minneapolis as a part of their tour.
So after we saw the concert, I reached out to Deke on a whim, just wondering if he might want to give us an interview, and he immediately responded and was totally on board with it, and he could not have been a better interviewee.
He also could not have made me realize how little I've done with my life.
Yeah, of course, his calendar is crazy busy right now, so we were so incredibly grateful that he was able to carve out some time to speak with us.
That's right. So please enjoy our interview with the phenomenally talented Deke Sharon.
Deke Sharon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Oh my gosh, the honor is all ours, trust me. We, of course, want to dig pretty deep into your relationship with Disney, but first, we want to get a little bit of a background from you. Would you mind sort of sharing with us how you got into music and specifically a cappella?
Wow. Well, I sang before I could speak. My parents were actually worried because I would sing myself to sleep, bouncing my head on my pillow in my crib and bouncing it so vigorously that they were worried about brain damage. So,
oh, no.
Yeah. And then from there, it was was age 5, popped me in the local church choir. Age 7, signed me up for the San Francisco Boys Chorus as young as I could. And then by age 9, I was the youngest member ever in the touring concert group. So got to be in operas with Pavarotti, and I missed the first month of 4th grade exploring Alaska, which was fun. And then it did every musical, every choir, every opportunity to sing. And it was being in the barbershop quartet and the Music Man my freshman year and keeping that going all 4 years. It was having a couple college a cappella groups come and visit my high school, most notably the Tufts Beelzebubs that I ended up going and becoming music director of and whatnot, and falling in love with the human voice and what it's able to do when it's with other human voices. And then really exploring and experimenting and stuff when I was at the New England Conservatory of Music in Tufts and music directing the Tufts Beelzebubs, starting to turn the voice into layers of instruments and weaving vocal percussion in it all. And then I graduated. I was like, I have lightning in a bottle. If people only knew, this could be such a wonderful thing. And literally everyone laughed in my face. And they had every reason to. I mean, it's a crazy dream, but sometimes the crazy dreams come true.
So can you point to that specific moment when you heard a cappella and you were like, this is the moment, this is my life's destiny laid out before me, I'm meant to do this?
The shaft of light that comes down from the heavens. Yeah, no, that's in the screenplay edit 17. I there were a number of different times. I always loved music. I was gravitated towards it, but I didn't grow up in a musical family. So for instance, when I went and saw Fantasia, it was like my jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe this amazing music, but we didn't have classical music in the house. We didn't have any music. So like when going to Tower Records and picking out 8 tracks for my mom to play on car rides in our giant Suburban, I was like, can I buy this album? She was like, sure, honey. So, I got Fantasia, which then was Beethoven's Sixth, and it was the Rite of Spring Stravinsky, and it was Bach, and it was, all of this great music. And a number of different other experiences. I remember when the Tufts Beelzebubs came and sang at my high school, and it was just like, wow, look at the energy and the power that can be transmitted with just the human voice and how captivating it can be. It was sitting around the campfire, it was summer in elementary school, and having a couple counselors just improvise simple parallel third harmonies, like the simplest stuff that you would just do by ear, and just being like, wow, you can just make up harmony on your own with that. Maybe this stuff was second nature to some kid who grew up, with musical parents and stuff like that. But I really had to find my own way. And, but it was definitely the right way. It was drawing me the entire time.
Is there something about a song now that sort of sparks that joy in you that makes you want to arrange it for an a cappella piece?
But be careful what you wish for. So I've arranged over 2,000 songs. So it's not like people are all the time like, do you think this would make a good a cappella song? Or, what song is it? And I'm like, I honestly, when I cook dinner, I put on bossa nova and I turn off the part of my brain that involves arranging and all that, because that's, I'm lucky enough to do exactly what I want to do with my life, but also I need to get away from it. Or put on vocal jazz or classical music or classic rock and all these different things. Basically, you can arrange any song and make any song work a cappella, but not every song will work well for every group. It's about marrying the style and the personality and the voices and all these different kinds of things together. But sometimes I will hear a song and just be like, oh, yeah, I know what I would do with that. And in fact, somebody was just asking me today. It's one of the groups that's going to be on a great tour that I'm setting up starting early next year, called Acapella Live, and the group's committed. They came in first place. They won season 2 of the Sing Off, and they're 5 members now as opposed to 6. And one of the guys was like, Deke, I don't know what to do with this tune. The new Post Malone tune that's in the Spider-Verse movie, and it's huge, and I love it, but what would I do with it arranging it? And I just put it on, and I heard it, and I immediately knew. I was like, one person on bass, one person on lead, and then 3 guys doing cool interwoven percussion parts. And then as soon as the pre-chorus hits, you burst into dense 5-part harmony. And he was like, I love it. Perfect. Thank you. And he's off to the races arranging now. So my brain definitely still thinks in those lines, but I don't live in that alternate universe at all times, or else I think I would be even more insane than I am now.
That's incredible, because I can guarantee you neither Patrick or my brain works that way. Like, we're not that musically inclined, I would say.
Rude. That's just rude, Adam.
Well, it's just what you know. I mean, somebody who works as a gardener would immediately say like, oh, with that terrace in the pool over there, I would put some low shrubs here, and then I would get a palm tree behind. You're like, I don't know, I'm just making this up. Or somebody who works with fabrics is like, this would look fantastic as a shirt, but not with that other fabric, and it'd be better in green. Like, their brain is used to organizing the different elements that bring out the best aesthetically in whatever genre, whatever style they work. And that's my brain in a cappella. That's what I've been soaking in for, I don't want to count how many years.
So let's talk about, I mean, a lot of people are going to know your name attached to Pitch Perfect, the 3 Pitch Perfect movies that have been released.
Sure.
How did that all come about, Deke?
So it all actually started with a writer at GQ named Mickey Rapkin, who sang in the Cornell Cayuga's Waiters. And he's writing this article, he's writing that article, and he's like, maybe I could write a book. So he decides to write a book about this zany, wonderful niche community, the collegiate a cappella world. And when I hear he's doing it, and he reaches out and says like, hey, would you want to get together and talk? I was like, yeah, come over. So he, flew into town. We had one of those like 3-hour lunches and a long discussion afterwards. And it just ranged from here to there, up and down. He decided to make his book kind of center around 3 different groups. One of them, my old group, the Tufts Beelzebubs, one of them, DVC, the group that kind of changed women's a cappella around that time, and a third group at the University of Virginia. And yet he also has like backstory and stuff. And there's a chapter about me in there, talks about how I started the Contemporary A Cappella Society of America, and blah, 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 blah. From that book getting optioned, and I read about this in Variety or something, I immediately thought, this is never going to happen. Everything gets optioned. And it's an actress who's never produced movies before and wants to start a new production house. I was like, it just felt like one of those like things that somebody says they're going to do and they never get around to doing. So then 2 years later, when I was working on the Sing Off, and I got a phone call, hi, Deke, this is Elizabeth Banks, the actress. I don't know if you know who I am, but I'm going to make this movie about the a cappella world. And everybody says I need to talk to you. So do you want to make an a cappella movie? And I'm like, hi, Elizabeth Banks. Yeah, let's make an a cappella movie. I mean, it was really as simple as that. She's wonderful and she's super down to earth. She's really one of the guys. Like, she's just a dude. Like, she watches sports and, screams at this the whole thing. I love her. And in the early days, we sat around a table with this early script from Kay Cannon. There were just a few of us. And it was like, how do you make this scene work? How do you make this moment work? Does a cappella do this well? Like, she knew from being at the University of Pennsylvania that collegiate a cappella existed, but it wasn't her world. I mean, she was a theater nerd. She was a cappella adjunct, I guess you would say. Yet she loved like the sincerity of it and the nerdiness of it. And I definitely told her early on, I was like, Liz, here's the deal. You have to make fun of me and a cappella and all of it. Like, pull no punches, go for the jugular. I said, but if at the end people are not jumping out of their seats cheering for the Bellas at the end of the movie, then it didn't work. So we need each other, right? Like to go as hard as we can in the directions to make this both incredibly funny and incredibly musically powerful. And we just splashed around in the pool. It was a first-time producer, first-time director, Jason Moore, who came from Broadway. Myself and the rest of the music team, no one had ever made an a cappella movie before.
Right. And
the Barton Bellas, 9 of the 10 of them had never sung a note of a cappella. In fact, on the first day of rehearsal, we brought in one ringer from the Sing Off who had been in 2 different seasons, who was like Bella number 10. And we got one from University of Louisiana State, who Shelley Regner, who's in Deke cappella right now, actually. But she was right out of college. But she had never done an a cappella. And I asked them all, like, have any of you guys sung in a cappella groups, anything? No hands went up. I was like, okay, all right. Have any of you sung in choir in school, anything like that? And just silence, crickets. And that's when the blood drained from my face. And then one of them said, I remember this clear as day, because it's like funnier than you would ever write in a screenplay. She was like, does a semester of middle school chorus count? And I was like, oh dear God, this movie is dead.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I was like, we're going direct to DVD. I like had all these dreams of the Barton Bellas singing on the red carpet, and like, I'm going to turn them into this amazing a cappella group. But in fact, the whole process of a cappella boot camp was damage control. Because the troublemakers, most of them came from the local college a cappella groups, and the leads, 2 of the 3 of them came from lead roles on Broadway. Guy named Ben Platt. Don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah, just a little bit.
He's done pretty well for himself. Yeah, and then Skylar Aston, so like the troublemakers killed it musically, and the Bellas were a hot festering mess. And so the director pulled me over. Yeah, you saw how I took a left turn of that sentence. Well, I figured you guys are okay with euphemisms since the whole title of your show, doing the doing the D. So anyway, he pulled me aside and he was like, Deke, the Bellas need to win the movie, So I was like, I know. Anyway, somehow ended up of acapella boot camp. Magically, the stars aligned, pulled it together, and never looked back.
Were you ready for the success that came after that? I mean, it couldn't have been a bigger hit.
Nope. Honestly, I told my cohort in crime and other people that I worked with in the music department on the movie, this is going direct to DVD. I don't think anybody's going to watch it, or because it came out in a limited release and just a few different theaters. And this was October of 2012, super limited release. It was Gold Circle. And it was distributed by Universal, but that means nothing, right? And Gold Circle had made about 50 movies, and 49 of them were Hallmark kind of movies and slasher films. So they had one hit, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and everybody's like, oh, and I'm like, right. And 49 movies you never heard of. Their second biggest movie, I think, was called Blood Creek. You know what I mean? It was like, so I was like, you do the math. I've had enough statistics in my overeducated life to know I'm not that guy on American Idol who's like, I'm gonna win it all. I'm the guy who's like, yeah, I'm getting cut Hollywood round. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, do the math, look around. This movie is not going to be the next School of Rock. What was strange is that School of Rock went nowhere and had a huge budget, and we were the little engine that could, where we came out in 2012 and we had the best selling soundtrack of 2013. We outsold Les Mis. And the thing, I bet my life on this, so it's not like I didn't expect that if people only knew what a cappella was and could be, if they got a chance to get back in touch with the power of vocal harmony as it was displayed through music history and at the core of every religious ceremony. And, it's just like everywhere. And yet people seem to have forgotten it. I was like, let's, by using our voice as layers of instruments and being able to replicate much more accurately modern music, but just with voices, this could be huge. And even the guys in my band laughed in my face. After, we're on tour in Germany, they're all going to the pub afterwards, and I'm trying to find some Turkish dial-up internet cafe to try to log back into the bulletin board service and continue to string together this very small community in the 1990s. Literally laugh at me. They're like, all right, dude, you do you. We're going to be out here see you in the van at 7 a.m. for the next, on to the next place. But Pitch Perfect really was the biggest and most important catalyst in turning a cappella into a household name and showing people the core of what it is. It's both musically awesome, and it's fun, and it's quirky, and it's playful, and it's honest, and there's so much love in it. And that came through beautifully in the movie. So I got really lucky that we were able to have that vehicle, and that it really caught fire with the public, with the media.
Oh, it absolutely did. And we're both huge fans of the movies. And so it's an honor to have you on the podcast talking about it at all. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, it's Aka awesome.
You know what's funny about that? So people don't believe this. Before the movie came out, it's not like anybody said Aka anything, or in the couple of times that anyone did, it was like a joke, right? You would never say that. Right. Yeah. What are you going to Aka do right now? The whole thing is just so dumb. And honestly, most of the people who are involved in a cappella, particularly in the circles that the movies surrounds, they're overeducated. It came out of the Yale Whiffenpoofs in 1909. And so we've got over 100 years of Ivy League and elite schools, basically the kinds of schools that people would pay $500,000 to cheat their kids into to bring this topically.
So topical, Deke. Yeah.
So topical. I know. So basically, these kind of people are highly educated for people getting together and making rock music with their mouths, basically. And so we have a good sense of humor about ourselves and about the whole thing, but no one would ever say anything like that, Aka, whatever, seriously. However, once the movie came out, I totally embraced it because it's a great way to signal that you don't mind making fun of yourself and just kind of putting a smile on people's faces. So yes, Aka whatever. Aka fill in the blank. Do the Aka D, gentlemen.
I like it. We're going to quote you on that from now on. We're going to Aka segue into some Disney talk now. How do you think about that?
Let's do it.
So how soon after Pitch Perfect did you get involved with Disney?
Before and after, actually. I was tapped to create a cappella groups in the theme parks around 1999, 2000, both at Epcot and Disney's California Adventure. This was when the college a cappella thing was growing and groups started getting out there. But this is a pre-Pitch Perfect, pre-Glee, pre-Sing-Off. But still, there was some recognition like, this a cappella thing's growing and it's really successful and it does well in the theme parks. So I created groups for both of those parks that were there in the park for maybe 5 years with vocal percussion and all kinds of fun. But this whole Deke cappella thing came completely through a different channel. I was the arranger for and the album producer for the cast album for the first ever a cappella musical on Broadway called In Transit. And it was an absolute delight to do it Circle in the Square and a fantastic cast. And so I was back there making the cast album with Disney Hollywood Records, who were close with Kristen Anderson Lopez because she was half of the songwriting team for Frozen along with her husband Bobby. And so Hollywood Records was like, oh, you've got this other musical that you've worked on. Great. We'll make the album, blah, 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 blah. So we recorded the album one day. And then the next day, one of the biggest blizzards in history hits New York City. So bad that we can't even walk across the street or even out of the door of the hotel. We're stuck in the hotel. So it's myself, head of Disney Music Marketing, and the head of A&R for Disney Records sitting around a table at one of those long breakfast brunches where, like, what are you going to do? I'll go back up to my room. But there was a pause in the conversation. They said, have you ever thought about doing an a cappella group for Disney? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I've done these theme park groups. They're like, no, a performing arts center group, like a big national, international touring group, like high-end, pentatonics for Disney. And it all clicked in my head immediately because for years I'd had this idea and even pitched it to a couple of the biggest a cappella groups out there, but no one had run with it. And so it was mine for the taking. And the idea was this. Symphonies are generally speaking not doing well, but as soon as you throw up a screen behind them and you play Star Wars or Indiana Jones and you have them play the theme, the symphony hall is packed, right? I was like, you could do that with a cappella. In fact, it'd work really well because you could have people interact with the screens. And for a group that doesn't have a lot of money, they can't license Star Wars. Okay. So you get all kinds of other footage and you basically make it like modern live personal YouTube. So you have the most cutting edge technology married with the oldest form of music, prehistoric, vocal harmony. And the juxtaposition could be really cool in the way you can play back and forth with these things. Anyway, I just went straight into elevator pitch mode and they loved it. And I flew down a couple times and I mean, it took minutes to convince the people. And I was like, this is what I would do. And this is how many people I'd have in the group. And this is how we would, get it on a bus and tour and the whole blah, 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 blah. And bottom line, we were off to the races. Did casting with Telsey Casting, who cast Hamilton on Broadway, et cetera, et cetera. And they were fantastic. We had over 1,500 people audition, which was like fantastic. And this isn't like them spending a lot of time and money and energy putting out the word. It was them shooting a quick little video and I threw it up on my YouTube page. And from that, 1,500 auditionees. So
that's amazing. It's amazing how quickly you rejected Patrick and me too.
Well, I mean, there's it's like triage.
Still hurts. No, Deke, it still hurts.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Gonna find a new group for you guys though. There's Deke Capella and then there's doing the Deke Capella. It's a completely different thing.
How did you go about choosing the songs that were going to be included on the album and the concert? Was it just things that you were passionate about, or did Disney have a say? Like, we need you to kind of help us market a certain movie, or how did that work out?
Well, basically carte blanche. Like the idea was, okay, a cappella, you've done all these things. What would you do? And the beautiful thing is they just always say yes. And like creatively, yes, great. You want to do this? Oh, that sounds great. Now, there are a couple things that we can't do, but it's not because the Disney Music Group isn't allowing us. It's because there are rules at Disney. So for instance, there's something called lip flap, which you may have never heard of. That's the colloquial term that they use for when there's a screen and a part of a movie playing, and then anybody else either talking or making music, they can't coincide. So I can't sing The Little Mermaid and have The Little Mermaid's face flapping her lips at the same time.
Interesting.
Very strict rule around this because The Little Mermaid is Jodie Benson, right? like that voice. It has to be her, right? Or if you're in a theme park and it's the parade, blah, 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 blah. And then there's another rule where you can't have two different Disney characters from different movies together. Obviously, for the latest Wreck-It Ralph movie, they had all the princess together and we kind of broke this whole thing. Which was awesome and unexpected, especially for Disney Files. But generally speaking, like I put together a mashup of Part of Your World and A Whole New World, where
yes, one of my favorites.
Oh, thank you. So you've got Aladdin and you've got Ariel singing back and forth, and it's really they're both songs beautifully written about aspiring to see the world, expand beyond yourself, the hero's journey, et cetera, and being able to weave the two together is super fun. But we can't have Aladdin and Ariel playing back and forth on the screens behind them. So there were some third rails, but even then we got around it. So for instance, one of the first ideas I had was pitching the idea of let's take an old silly symphony. Let's take one of those old movies like The Three Little Pigs and do the entire thing with our voices.
That was my favorite part, Deke. I loved that.
Thank you. I'm so glad. So it was like, do the Foley, do all of the instrument parts, be the voices, sound effects. And then I also, as I was arranging it, I was like, oh, it'd be really fun to have somebody do snarky commentary like Mystery Science Theater 3000. And so Orlando was the obvious choice. And I fed him a couple lines and they're like, I'm being the latter, and then he was off to the races with like, that's not the way home, all of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And so everybody else had the biggest headache arrangement I've ever done for anyone to learn. And then he had these big swaths of time where he got to goof off and joke around. But anyway, that's technically lip flap, but we got a special dispensation because the whole point of it was that we weren't trying to pretend like we're the Three Little Pigs. We were being everything. I don't know. Somebody said yes. What can I say? Walt gave his distant nod of approval.
Did you feel any pressure arranging any of these more classic Disney songs that are so much a part of the lexicon? Like, when you take a song that's so well known by not only Disney fans, but just kind of worldwide, everyone knows the song.
Sure.
Is there any pressure on you to not make it too different or to perhaps even create a new kind of sound or interpretation of it? How do you feel about taking kind of famous songs like that and turning them on their ear?
I like it. Because I think if people want to hear the original version, they listen to the original version. And in fact, the Disney Music Group was very supportive of let's give this group their own sound and let's put our own spin on each of the versions. And I have a lot of experience in history with this, particularly working on the sing-off, where my mantra as the music director and vocal producer for that show always for every single group, Pentatonics and all the rest, was don't go to the song, bring the song to you. And the concept was, if you're spending your time and energy trying to replicate the original, at best, you'll have some kind of photorealistic image and people go like, oh, that was kind of cool that they could do that with their voices. Now let's go buy the original by Steppenwolf or, Jonas Brothers or whatever, right? But if you then take the song and you bring it into your own style, you make it yours, you emphasize the parts that, how do I say this? You emphasize the elements that are best reflected in your personality, what you want to say and who you are, then you've made the music yours and your own version of it is far more compelling. And that's what every single song for De Cappella is and is about. And it's actually easier to do with the older songs. To give you an example, it's easier to take a song by the Beatles that's been covered 100 times and do your own version of that than it is to take the latest Bruno Mars song on the radio and go crazy bonkers and do something different with that. Because the more current the tune, the more people are kind of still married to or want to hear it in its original form. So, for instance, when doing How Far Will Go Moana, I kept it similar to the original, but I love Hawaii and have been there so many times. I wanted to give it a little bit of that Hawaiian island reggae groove.
Yes.
So it's got its own flavor, but it still feels very much like Moana. Whereas I could take I Want to Be Like You and give it Andrew's Sisters big band jazzy treatment, or with Step in Time, turn it into a live looping cubist, unexpected, anything.
Yeah, that part of the show I was weeping the entire time. It was so beautiful.
Thank you. I mean, I knew for that one, I wanted to use live looping. And, basically the first half of the show is let's give people what they expect.
Yeah.
And the second half is now that they think they've seen everything, let's really go bonkers. And that's where we put the Three Little Pigs with the Foley. And that's also where I wanted to use a live looper. And I needed a song with a live looper. It's all about repeat. So I was like, what's a song that just keeps repeating? The chords don't change. Most of these classic Disney songs actually have very rich, lush, ever-changing chord progressions, which makes for a fantastic Great American Standard, but it's terrible for a live looper. Like, you can't make it work. However, I was like, Step in Time, it's just over and over and over again. I said, but if I chop it all up and break it down and just start with the word time, and we have a field of stars, people will have no idea what's going on. And then there will be this wonderful recognition as they slowly start to dawn. Oh, wait, what song is that? Oh, I know what this is. And then you get an opportunity to experience that song in a completely different way. Although, frankly, all the stars and the twilight was a big part of the feel of the original, even though it's, the rooftops of London, of course, with all the chimney sweeps. So it was fun to play with these songs and to do different things with them. And I think the fact that most of the songs are different and playful is what makes the show and the group's performance of the songs more compelling.
For sure. What I really loved about Deke Capella and what you did with it is sort of what you were saying earlier. You were taking sort of best practices from each of these big songs, but twisting them and making them your own and their own sound. It was really successful, I thought.
Oh, thank you. I mean, and look, I love Disney music, all of it. And the ability to be able to basically have the keys to the kingdom, pun intended, to go back through the archives and say, like, okay, what songs and what shows do you want to do? And okay, you want to take some footage from this, and we'll get the footage from that archive, and let's do, boom, boom, boom. And even, pull from these classic Disney rides. I mean, some great songs that you rarely hear or think much about unless you're in the theme parks, written by the Sherman Brothers, came from specific rides. So I was like, let's early on in the show not just make the show about like, and here's another animated classic, and here's another animated classic, but rather let's take them to Disneyland. And then I'm like, okay, let's mash up 4 different classic Disneyland songs. Can I even do that? that was definitely a headache and a half. I painted myself into a corner, but made it through the other end. And just because I love that stuff. I mean, when I was a kid, we all do, right?
Yeah, we could tell, you could feel the joy in all of those songs. It was really, the whole audience was just lit with joy, I guess.
Oh, I'm glad. And what was fun is for a couple of the people who are in the group, they're young. I mean, we cast between age 20 and 30, and Morgan, our soprano, turned 21 in the middle of the rehearsal process. Like, she wasn't even old enough to drink. And so when I gave her the tiki room, because it's like fun and cute and whatever, I could tell she didn't really know it. And I was like, Morgan, it's the tiki room. She's like, I know, but when I go, I run to Indiana Jones and I want to be on Thunder Mountain Railroad and whatever. I'm like, but you got to go to the tiki room. She's like, is that the place where they have the Dole Whips? And I'm like, girl, we need some help. So anyway, the first time they performed it, because I was ran the whole rehearsals and then there for the first couple shows, she came up to me afterwards. She was like, Deke, as soon as I started singing Tiki Room, the audience burst into applause. I was like, I know, Morgan, I know. She's like, I really need to go to see that ride. I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. So it's fun because the singers have their own favorites and their own experiences and their own proclivities and stuff like that. But some of this classic stuff is earlier than them. In fact, it's really cute when Shelley was doing one of her introductions when they were doing promo and at Pixar for Incredibles Day and on American Idol and Beauty and the Beast stage, or for the Hollywood Bowl. She was talking about like, and we're in Deke Capella, we sing, the latest hits from the latest Disney movies all the way back to the classics, like the really old ones like Aladdin and Lion King. And I know this is what she was saying. And I like had to pull her aside. I was like, Shelley, some of us were in college when those movies came out. And there's a lot of Disney before that, like 50 years of it.
Yeah.
So,
I remember one of the cast members during the show that we saw refer to some of those kind of Renaissance movies as classics or like older films. And it was a big old eye roll from me. I was like, oh,
totally.
Brother.
Right. I mean, even for me, even Jungle Book is like kind of mid in there. Like you got to go back to Snow White and Dumbo and the Silly Symphonies. And you want really early Alice in Wonderland, right? Like those not the fully animated movie that, but the early Alice in Wonderland features that Walt did with a live Alice and then the animations around. So, there's so much history in there. And that's another fun thing because Deke was designed and aimed at teens and 20-somethings because they're your hardest audience. Nothing's cool enough for them. Oh, what do we have to do? So if it's like, if we create a Pentatonics kind of experience for them and it's cool and it's fun and it's hip and they like it, everybody else will love it. So kids can come along because they want to hear Frozen and Moana, and then they see Jungle Book and they love it, and they see Three Little Pigs, and then they go home and watch it on YouTube. Right. And then for the older folks, they get a chance to love the classics and then get introduced to In This Place, the Julia Michaels version from the new Wreck-It Ralph movie. Like there's something new for everybody, and there's something that is deeply embedded in everyone's hearts, regardless of your background and your generation.
For sure. It was a smart mix. Are there any Disney songs that you're anxious to get your hands on? And I'm mostly asking because I am hungry for another album already.
Oh, that's really nice. Well, yes. The short answer is yes. And I think it'll be fun with the next tour to also expand out and push more, because Disney has acquired a number of things. I think, we have Fox movies and we have Marvel and there's Star Wars. And so, I mean, I don't want to guarantee something that's going to happen, but boy, would it be fun to do an a cappella version of the Cantina song from
please.
A New
I was
Hope,
just thinking
right?
that, please.
Come on. That's a gimme, right?
Yeah.
And then there are also so many really cool, wonderful pieces of music from older Disney movies and some live action ones as well. All I want to do. So, because I'm a big Disney file, so I know, the Burl Ives songs and Haley Mills, like, would we even do Let's Get Together?
Yes.
Yeah. Who knows? Right. It's a matter of making sure that it's the right combination of old and new, that the story goes in different places. And what do we do next after Three Little Pigs? Like, you heard it here first. I'd love to take a crack at The Sorcerer's Apprentice, How fun would that be? Maybe it's so long, so maybe we trim it down a little bit, like we did the Three Little Pigs. Actually, if you go online and look, it's 7-8 minutes. In the show, we made it 4, so but how fun would that be? Basically, for anybody who's like, well, I mean, I saw Deke, but they kind of did all the hits. Like, what would they do next? It's like, oh, no. We probably touched 4% of the low hanging fruit, right?
Yeah,
There's so much more out there. So it'll be fun to continue to play. And also there are things that happen that pop up periodically that are not necessarily the next tour, but the next group is going to Japan, and we did 5 songs in Japanese and English, including a song Thanks to You that's like a big song in Tokyo Disneyland and no one over here has heard. And the Little Mermaid's 30th anniversary celebration is coming out soon. There could be commercials, and Deke voices are the sound bed for one of them. And then they've got a new song, a new version of Part of Your World that's like up tempo and fun. And I mean, there's lots of other stuff coming down the pike. So it'll not just be what are the next songs going to be for the tour, but also what are the other appearances they're going to make and the other fun stuff they do.
So do you see the tours then informing what songs will be on the future albums? Is that how you're kind of planning it out?
It may be, but also albums are kind of a thing of the past. The way music works now, most of the stuff, probably as much music has been released by Deke that's not on their album that's on it. In fact, there are 4 tunes that are on the Incredibles 2 soundtrack, right? So fun to work on those. And stuff like that's going to keep happening. And then maybe there's an EP, and then but the Part of Your World was released on its own. And then 2 Christmas tracks were put out around the holiday time. Last Christmas and the Mariah Carey All I Want for Christmas Is You, which are the 2 songs they did that aren't Disney tunes, but it's still Deke and it's their style, and it's fun to have some other stuff because they were doing, they were on Freeform doing like 30 Days of Disney and needed some other little jingly things. And so I think probably what'll happen, just knowing the way that the business works and how things have been, is that there will constantly be a steady stream of like, here's a song, here are a couple more songs, here's some stuff, boom, 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 that'll keep getting released periodically, rather than waiting and needing necessarily to put out another album, although another album may come out as well. Who knows?
Yes, please. Also, I have a selfish question for you. When is the sing-off coming back? Bring it back.
I know, bring it back. Well, it was an absolute joy to make, and I have so many lifelong friends from making that show. 5 seasons here in the U.S., plus got to make it on 3 other continents. Did it in the Netherlands, in South Africa, in mainland China, and, got to spark a cappella revolutions in those places as well. I wish it were still in the air, honestly. I think it was a mistake when the show got moved to the fall and thrown up against Dancing with the Stars. Like, if it stayed in December, we'd be on the air for 12 years or more. It'd be like a thing that you'd look forward to each year. But I'm not in charge of television programming, and we do what we're told. And the good news is we got Pentatonics out of that long season. And they now have more followers on YouTube than Beyonce. So we count our blessings where we get them. And hopefully there will continue to be more television shows on television and networks and, online. And I've got some ideas out there being pitched. And who knows? If my phone rings and somebody says, let's do something, I'm on it.
Well, I'll start writing letters now to get people to bring it back.
Yes, I hope so. Although I'm not sure anybody reads anything anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. So before we wrap up here, I don't know if you have listened to the podcast before, but we do a segment called Quick D, where we ask each other some very random questions.
Yeah, Quick D. I was born and raised in San Francisco, and although I'm a breeder, I'm an avowed heterosexual, married for 25 years now. I am very gay adjacent. So I've worked with some of the greatest a cappella groups of all time who happen to be gay. The Flirtations in the 90s, who changed perception. The Kinsey Six, really good friends and unbelievable singers. If you're not familiar with either of those groups, please go check out the Kinsey Six, who just put a new show out now, and the Flirtations, both fantastic. The Kinsey Six being a beauty shop drag quartet. And the hardest I've ever laughed in my life was Robin Williams' concert. Second hardest was Kinsey Six. You will die laughing. So fun.
Wow.
Anyway, so my point is, born and raised in San Francisco, there's a lot of Quick D that happens around here. So I feel like I've been prepared. Just, it's like a contact high. So bring it on, guys. Our
Quick D
let's do this.
It's a little more tame than the San Francisco Quick D.
Okay. All right. I gotcha.
So here are some more rapid fire questions for you in our Quick D style. You ready?
Yes, go.
Okay, so favorite Disney movie?
My favorite, and I think the best of all time, is Mary Poppins. It's a fantastic work of art. It's funny to say that it's not an animated movie, because that's what Walt's known best for. But the songs in that film, the performances, Julie Andrews, flawless. Even Dick Van Dyke, like, he's so charming that he makes up for his horrible accent. And even though it's a long movie, it's so watchable by all ages. I really think that's the crowning achievement of Disney.
Since you said that, this isn't one we were planning on asking, but what did you think of the sequel? What did you think of Mary Poppins Returns?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm sorry. I haven't seen it yet. Okay, but it's tough. It's tough, right? Because if you love Mary Poppins as much as you do, like, I need a little time to pass before I'm ready to go in and be like, Emily Blunt, who's a fantastic actress, and Lin-Manuel Miranda, of course, who's a historic, musician, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I see the previews and I'm like, why'd you do that? So, but of course there's a song in, The Place Where Lost Things Go is in, the Deke show. And it was one of the last songs I added. And it's just the 3 women together singing this kind of haunting, beautiful lullaby together. So
it's gorgeous.
I know I'm going to like the movie. I just need to get in the right frame of mind.
Well, we're going to pause recording so you can go watch the movie.
Okay.
And then come back to us.
Perfect. That sounds great. Actually, I travel so much, I will almost certainly see it on a flight where I'm a captive audience. And then, of course, when you're at altitude, you cry a lot. I mean, it's all, it's for the best. Okay.
So next question, favorite Disney ride in either park?
Ooh, that's really tough. If we're talking, so if I can kind of split this in two, if it's a moving ride, it's hard for me to erase the lifelong joy of Space Mountain, as much as so many of the dark rides are kind of fun and whatever. Space Mountain was the one, and then you're still a teenager and you still love that one. And then for the sit down, I'm such a Tiki fan. It's hard to not say the Tiki Room.
Yeah,
in fact, the guest room in my house is the Tiki Room. People come in and they're like tikis all over, and so I'm going to go with those two. Locking in final answer. Boom.
All right. Favorite Disney song?
Oh, wow. Okay, this one I'm going to split into two as well. I'm going to say for modern Disney, even though it's Pixar, it's been absorbed. Randy Newman's "When She Loved Me" is a work of art, and I love his songwriting in general. I'm a huge fan. I have all of his albums. That song in particular was just heart-stopping in the movie. It's perfectly crafted. It's beautifully written. It was animated flawlessly, and the whole thing just comes together. And you can't believe that a song about a kid growing up and not playing with their toys could be so affecting and so universal, because loss is something that we all experience. But to flip it that way was just genius. But I'd say, like, classic Disney, the greatest song, the song that kind of sums up what the Disney dream is about, is "When You Wish Upon a Star." And here, let me give a little shout out to Cliff Edwards, who sang that as as an artist who was actually a huge deal. Ukulele Ike, I think they called him at the time, and he was like this big deal, but then he ended up like losing all of his money and gambling it away and drinking or whatever, and then like kind of dying destitute and unknown. But he sings that song with such love and personality that it's the reason it's at the cornerstone of the beginning of every Disney movie, and it feels like it's a dream that we can believe in of all ages. And the Linda Ronstadt version also that she performs in one of her kind of Great American Songbook albums is also fantastic. Like, it's just such a good song.
That is so well said. We're both tearing up over here right now listening to you talk about those songs.
Oh, I did the D well.
You did. Well, we have one more question here.
Okay.
And this question does have a right or a wrong answer. All right. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Mickey Pretzel or Mickey Ice Cream Bar? Think carefully.
Okay, so here, and I think Disney does most things very well, but Americans in general don't know how to make pretzels. Pretzels have to be dipped in lye and baked the proper way, and they come out crispy and dark on the outside. Like those Auntie Anne pretzels they have in American malls are a crime against humanity. And as hard as Disney works to try to make a pretzel happen over here, they are not doing the Disney pretzels the way the Germans would do it, and the Germans are the only ones who can make the right pretzels. Oh my! So it's definitely the Disney ice cream bar, and I know I got it right. I mean, it's obvious.
Deke, I used to have a lot of respect for you, but now I don't know. I'm rethinking some things.
Once you go to Germany and you have proper pretzels, which you will eat every day because you can't help it because they're so magnificent, when you come back here, it's kind of, you're like, oh, I mean, it's pretzel adjacent. It's like, it's a doughy thing that's got salt on it, but yeah. But listen, I tend towards savory foods more than sweet. So it's not like, it's not like I don't understand the desire for the pretzel to be better. It just doesn't make it better.
Well, Deke, we thank you so much for coming on Gays Do the D and chatting with us about all of the amazing works that you've touched and shared with us. And really, we want to thank you for giving us, most recently, a new way to listen to classic and really beloved Disney music. It was incredible to go to the concert and to experience that with just an audience full of people hearing that beautiful music that you gave us.
Thank you. Well, my one of the other angles that I used to pitch the show was everybody who wants Disney either has to pop in a DVD or go to Orlando or Southern California, unless you're going to see like Disney on Ice, which is for kids. The idea behind De Capella is that Disney can be brought to people's homes, to performing arts centers, and not a kid show, something for everybody, something that is aimed at adults that kids will also like, as opposed to vice versa, which is really how the movies are made. So I am really appreciative that it has resonated with you and with audiences so much, because I love these songs. Everybody in the cast is a rock star. Like, each one of them can front their own bands and will, and then you pull them together in this kind of super group, and it's like the Justice League or, X-Men or whatever. Like, they're all like super powerful, compelling, wonderful musicians. And just being able to work on this stuff is a dream come true. So I look forward to creating more good stuff and getting it out there and hearing from you guys about what your favorite songs were.
It's so your work in general, but De Capella, specifically is so accessible to so many generations. So thank you for that, and well done to you.
Thank you. Yeah, and my job always as a arranger is to get out of the way. Like I want to make something that's super compelling that will connect the audience and the performer, and then at the end of the show have people be like, "Oh wait, that was just voices," or "Oh, that was really cool how they did that thing." I mean, that to me is the highest compliment you can get as an arranger, as a music director, is to disappear. And I feel like with Deke we nailed it.
For sure. So where can folks find you on social media if they want to follow you?
Oh, I'm easy to find. I'm Deke Sharon on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and blah, 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 blah. And also DekeSharon.com is my website. It's DEKE is my first name, Deke, and my last name is Sharon, like the female first name, SHARON. So just 10 letters. And of course, follow Deke. They're all so fun, and there are going to be lots of great announcements of fun things coming up throughout the rest of this year and for many years to come. As far as I'm concerned, we're all going to get old and gray together as we sing Disney songs around the world.
That sounds like a dream to us, so we're here for it. All right, Deke, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. It's been my pleasure.
Patrick.
Yas, Adam.
It is Quick D time.
I love Quick D time.
And I see that Chewbacca's head is on the table.
It is.
So that must mean it's a Quick D Imagine Queering segment.
That's right. When you see that head, you know what's going on.
So Patrick has a Chewbacca mug. He just flipped open the brain portion. He's going to reach into the Chewbacca mug and draw the name of an attraction. And Patrick and I are then going to queer it up. We're going to gay it up. We're going to turn that ride or attraction into the gayest thing you will have ever experienced.
That's right. We're going to turn the D around. Nope.
Nah.
Okay. Well, I liked it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Today's attraction is...
Yes?
Star Tours.
Oh.
Thanks, Chewbacca.
Wow. So on theme.
So this is going to be a little bit of a trickier one for us because our last two were Under the Sea and Frozen,
right? So
which already pretty gay.
Yeah.
Pretty sparkly.
You know what? I think there's plenty of gayness to be found in Star Wars.
Sure is. Poe, am I right?
I hope so.
All right, so let's queer up Star Tours.
Well, we already just did with that.
That's how you start the show.
Yeah.
Star Tours. With a Z. I guess that's how you first start it.
And I'm going to propose we rename it.
Oh.
Let's call it Bar Tours.
Oh, dear.
And it is now a pub crawl for gay people.
I'm into it. It's a galactic pub crawl.
Yes.
A galactic pub crawl, if you will. I think our work is done here. Hosted by Poe, maybe.
Yeah, but I want him to be called Go-Go Poe.
Oh, Go-Go Poe.
And he's a go-go dancer now.
Yas, Poe.
And he's wearing just the shortest shorts.
Work.
And in keeping with the galactic theme, they're probably like silver or sparkly silver.
Yeah, for sure. Gotta have enough room for that blaster, though.
Patrick.
You know what I'm talking about.
And so are we taking a simulator from bar to bar?
Yes.
So like the ride currently is, we're going to be hopping from planet to planet, only we're hopping from bar to bar.
Yes. The cantina, if you will.
Right. Which we're calling the Mantina because...
The Mantina.
Yeah, it is a gay bar now.
With only Tina Turner music.
Oh, well, that works out.
Mm-hmm. Rolling, rolling, burn it, burn. It's like a mix.
That was interesting.
You're going to hear somebody take that and run with it, and it's going to be $1 million idea.
Yeah.
The Cantina Turner.
It's 3 for $1 on drink specials.
Yup. Which I'm mostly laughing because Disney would never offer that good of a deal on a drink.
Well, one drink is $500.
Got it.
So 3 for $1s actually works out in their favor.
Totally reasonable.
And aside from Go-Go Poe, who are some of the other characters we're going to encounter in the Mantina?
Probably Jar Jar Twinks.
Oh. He's so smooth.
Oh, no.
He's like, you still want some poppers?
Oh, no. Is it C-3PO?
C-3PO, probably, yeah.
That seems clear.
Yeah. Jabba the Butt.
Oh, my. Yeah. It's a big one. What's his little twink's name? I can't remember.
Salacious
Crumb. Salacious Bum.
Oh.
What's the danger? Is there a danger element? You know how sometimes Darth Vader is like, this is the rebel we're looking for?
Mm-hmm.
What's that about in this ride? This is the heterosexual we're looking for?
Yes, or to take it one step further, probably like the unwelcomed bachelorette party we're looking for. Because in 9 out of 10 gay bars...
Yeah, they're messy.
They're there and they're grabbing things they shouldn't be grabbing.
True story.
And that's our job.
That's right. So we're flying from bar to bar.
Yes.
Avoiding bachelorette parties.
Yes.
Okay. Jar Jar Twinks is with us.
And I think eventually we end up on Batu, right? Because that's how it ends now. You end up on Batu.
Oh, good idea. Yeah. That's right. We land on Batu because we have to rehydrate. Everyone's so thirsty.
With blue milk.
Oh, that blue milkshake that they're going to offer us.
So it's no longer a white Russian, it's a blue Russian now?
That's right. A little nightcap.
And at bar closing, Patrick, who are you choosing to go home with? I mean, stereotype, but let's just say... Things are wrapping up.
Yeah, man.
You've had a couple of drinks.
Mm-hmm.
You're feeling it. You're feeling that blue milk from the bantha.
Always. I probably think I'm going home with Poe, but those lights pop up and it's Jabba the Butt. And I'm like, well...
Has that been your experience in the past when you were single and like ready to mingle?
I can neither confirm nor deny those allegations.
All right.
What about you?
Oh, I'm definitely going home with Kylo.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
I choose Kylo.
All right.
And I want him shirtless.
Yeah.
And I want him with that weird belly sash he had where like you couldn't see his belly button, but you could just see the top part of his abs. And I want him real worked up. I like when he smashes his helmet.
You like an aggressive Kylo.
I like a nice helmet smash, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I do know. A little afraid for your safety, but listen, that's how we do things on bar tours.
I know what everyone's saying. They're saying, Adam, you can't possibly change him. And I think I can. This isn't just a one-night stand with Kylo. It's going to be a long, meaningful relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show him the ways of the light side. Mm-hmm. And together we're going to take down the First Order.
That's right, using so much force. I feel like we've had this conversation in our single days before, but it was more like, you don't know. Shh. I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm going to change his life. You don't know.
But this time I'm really going to do it, Patrick.
Yeah, no, I believe you. I'm for you. I'm with you. Well, I'm with Jabba the Butt, actually.
Yeah, you are. You are with Jabba the Butt.
I noticed you did not try to talk me out of that. You were just like, yeah, let's see what happens. Thanks, Adam.
That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. Ratings and reviews are greatly appreciated and help people find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast, and submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.